right, 92 teams. We're down to 2. Shane Downey's here with me. We're going to watch the finals. Go ahead and show you the we're seeing. The teams we have are the Paolercio, Zanutto, Bedell team against Mildenstein, Collins, Bostian. The matchups are the 2 draft decks. Hardened Scales against Boros Burn, and Oops All Spells against Izzet Delver. We just watched Oops All Spells versus Izzet Delver, so we're going to start on Boros Burn versus Hardened Scales, see how that plays out, see how the match progresses, and then move into the other matchups as we see fit. Hardened Scales versus Boros Burn. Shane, I don't know. I mean, I feel like burn spells, we just saw a little bit in the previous match, like removal spells against this Hardened Scales, the Ozolith in play, not that effective.
Yeah, there's 3 main deck Ozoliths, and if that's in play, you're absolutely right. It definitely has a significant impact on the game. One thing, I just scanned the deck list before we got started, and I like the burn player post board, particularly because they're going to be bringing in things like Smash to Smithereens, which can answer something like the Ozolith, and then also Path Exile, which is significantly good against the Hardened Scales deck.
Yeah, Path makes a big difference when these death triggers are bound counters around all over the places. Yeah, 3 Ozoliths plus Urza Saga can find the Ozolith. Yeah, it's going to be Ozolith City over there versus the burn deck. And then Izzet Delver versus Oops All Spells. Again, I mean, we saw Oops All Spells win that previous match, but, well, I don't know. I mean, 2 years ago, I would have said Izzet Delver is a favorite. Now, maybe not. I mean, there are hate cards, but there are anti-hate cards, and there are just one-turn kills out of nowhere. And then the draft decks, we've looked at them a little bit. There is a deck that the black-red deck looks good on paper, and the other deck is a very low-to-the-ground 4/1 drop. Try and finish you off with burn, and it's not dropped a game so far in the elimination rounds. So we'll see if we get to that, but we're going to start in Modern. Let's go ahead and go to the table. This is the finals of the Team 10K here at Nerd Rage Gaming.
All right, so
players are probably waiting for us. Go ahead and go give them the signal to start, and we'll kick things off.
So one thing of note here in the team finals is the higher seed had the play draw choice on 2 of the 3 matchups. Now we don't know necessarily which they chose, so I'm actually interested to see who's going first here.
Right. I would be. Well, the number 2 team had the choice, so they could have given Ari Collins. I would have to think. I mean, obviously it matters across the board, but I would not be surprised at all if the choice was to take the play in the 2 constructed matchups.
Yeah, that makes some sense to me as well, especially Modern for sure, playing a burn deck. You have an advantage, no doubt about that. And then the Delver deck has a huge advantage, of course, playing cards like Daze on the play. Yes. So that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. All right, so we see a Rift Bolt started off here through to the Dome, which, I mean, yeah, if you got enough burn spells, wow. Double, is that Sunbaked Canyon? Is that the name of the card?
Sunbaked Canyon, yeah. So he's going to be taking some damage here in the early turns on lands, and potentially with his own Eidolon. We'll see if that comes back to
so this Eidolon can potentially do a lot of damage on both sides. And Antonio Zanutto with Basilisk Collar followed by Hangerback Walker. So, I mean, Basilisk Collar, obviously any sort of life gain is going to matter a lot for Antonio. And yeah, this Eidolon is going to be spitting out damage left and right. 2 damage on the right so far, but probably some coming to the other side as well.
Yeah, Ari has a Lightning Helix in hand to potentially recover if the life ends up mattering. I don't anticipate it really will for Ari's side as he gets in with the Eidolon. But yeah, those Sunbaked Canyons will add up over time.
Yeah, there's a Searing Blazing also, which is a terrific card. Missing the landfall though right now to get the damage boost in there.
No, and if you think of a card like Lightning Bolt, for example, it's going to cost, like, let's say you're Lightning Bolting Antonio's face. It's going to cost 3 damage to deal 3 damage in this scenario with the Eidolon and the Sunbaked Canyons. And right now we're taking 4 to deal.
Yeah, this is a Flame Rift, 4 each. Boros Charm.
Flame Rift, actually a card that got introduced to Modern recently, but hasn't seen a lot of play.
Yeah, Basilisk Collar equips and Hangerback Walker. I'm a touch surprised by that. but it does provide some, I guess, ground defense and just daring Ari Collins to waste a burn spell on it. 2 more damage, and then there's a Searing Blaze. Take out the Handwreck Walker. I believe Handwreck Walker can charge in response, so 2 tokens might be net here for Antonio. Yeah, there we go. But still eating 3 damage, and these life totals are dropping fast.
But yeah, using the 2 mana to equip the Basilisk Collar definitely ends up having an impact. Obviously, the highest upside to that is being able to block, but not having that opportunity.
Mm-hmm. And Eidolon chooses not to attack, with Antonio down to 6 versus Ari at 9. Yeah, so Antonio can only cast 2 more spells, and that's if Ari has nothing.
Yeah, and Ari, I mean, we know Ari's hand.
Here,
he has 6 points of burn easily. And Antonio could choose to equip an attack with one of these tokens to get out of double bolt range.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then that is an option. It would then, well, I guess attack, gain a life, and then...
I mean, he can't really add to the board here under the pressure of this Eidolon.
Yeah, but doing 2 damage would then... Yeah, Henry can still cast a few spells. Well, I take that back. I'm forgetting about the fact that none of his lands are pain-free at the moment. So an attack for 2 would drop Oliver to 7, and then if you want to use effectively, maybe at 6, he'd still cast 1 spell, potentially 2, depending on whether he's got 1 mana Lightning Bolts or 2 mana Lightning Helix. Lightning Helix even costs some life points when it's cast off Sunbaked Canyons. We're gonna see 4 mana for a Ballista. Does not trigger the Eidolon.
Yeah, this might be the best case scenario for Antonio. Yeah. He gets to cast a spell that could technically answer the Eidolon if he wants to, and get in some damage while you're at it.
And for 1.
9 to 8 does a difference based on how much damage Oliver is doing to himself.
Yeah, and it holds back a token, so the Eidolon can be chump blocked while preserving the Ballista to tokens wherever.
In a way, you don't even really want to take out the Eidolon here because it is complicating matters for Oliver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Oliver Bostian thinking about what land to get here. I imagine we're choosing Tapped Sacred Foundry or a mountain, and it is Tapped Sacred Foundry. At 7 life, able to cast effectively at 5. So he can't cast 2 spells right now without drawing a pain-free land. And actually looking at the cards in hand, it's not going to happen anyway. This is, oddly enough, very close.
Yeah. So, I mean, so we had, and so Antonio's at 6 though, and there's a bolt and a Lightning Helix, and I think if you just cast the Lightning Helix first, you're safe.
So let's see, Lightning Helix would put Henry down to 4, up to 7, and then a bolt would cost another 3, which would be back down to 4, and then Ballista could only take him to 2. So yes, you are correct about that. Sequencing absolutely matters.
Yeah, so I think Oliver's got this. He's getting in there with the Eidolon first. There's a reason not to. And if you're Antonio, do you just block and then ping Oliver instead of offering the trade?
You could. I don't know that gains you anything. I mean, I don't think you block with Ballista. I think you block with Ballista. You just have to
block
assume
with
you're
the
dead.
token. Yeah, I suppose if you weren't willing to block with the token, you would have attacked with it.
Yeah.
Or at least planning on blocking with the token.
Right.
Yeah,
Antonio, not sure what to do here, and
he knows he's in trouble, and I think this one's going to be over here shortly.
Yeah. Okay. So it looks like the token does block after some wavering there, and here is the lights, which will leave Oliver at at 7, as he will 3 to damage to play it and then gain 3 back. And Antonio drops. And then here's the lightning bolt, which costs Oliver another 3 damage.
That's it.
And that should do it. Okay, so on the books for Boros Burn. Not a deck at the heart of the modern metagame, but it's always at the fringes, showing its face here and there, and takes down Hardened Scales in game 1. And which over to Legacy, where Rodney Bedell is up a game again against Izzet. And that's, well, actually, no, that's what we expect, right? That the Oops All Spells has a better chance game 1 than the sideboard games.
Yeah, what we saw in the previous round was Rodney winning game 1, losing game 2, and then coming back to win game 3. But Allie put up her defenses in game 2 with a number of sideboard cards. So we'll see what came in for Ari here in this matchup.
All right, so on the play here, Ragavan is the ideal threat, and there is one. It looks like 2 Wastelands, at least one. And yeah, there are 2, and that's not going to help. And Rodney on a mulligan, and so far Rodney has taken a lot of mulligans and won games where he's taken them. So that leads me to believe that he has a good idea what he's doing here.
Yeah, so this could be over quickly if you just look at the scoreboard here. Henry and Oliver each up a game. If either or if both of those were able to win game 2, this would be all over. But in a team tournament, it can be tough to cover just because we're bouncing back and forth a little bit. But ultimately, things can definitely end in a moment's notice.
Right. Henry Mildenstein's draft deck is 5-0 in games now, and I mean it was not an impressive list. It's filled with a lot of comments. Now maybe there's a way to build an effective way to draft a blue-red aggro deck here. It didn't look impressive to me, but he is dropping people, so maybe I'm wrong. But if these other matches finish up, maybe we'll get over there. If Dominick can break Henry's winning streak, maybe we'll be able to see the end of how that plays out. And Rodney on 5, but he did win on 5 last round, but that was a game where his opponent was also on 5, whereas Ari's on 7.
And I think this is just a deck in general you're going to see mulligan more often than the average deck. You think of Oops All Spells, a deck like Charbelcher, even a deck like Tron, if you're more familiar with Modern, decks that are going to be down on cards, but still have the early turn effectiveness because they know exactly what they're looking for.
Yeah, Tron, my beloved Tron is not so hot anymore. Maybe we'll see this afternoon when we transition over to watching the Modern 5K. Maybe we'll see some Tron, but I wouldn't bet on it. I had some conversations with people that were still playing Tron last week in Las Vegas, whereas I have completely abandoned it, and they felt confident of it, but I don't see it. I don't see the love. I see the new cards just invalidating some of it. But here we go. Ragavan on turn 1, hoping to randomly exile a crucial card from Rodney. Thoughtseize out of his 5-card hand. Thoughtseize to clear the way for whatever he might manage, and we see Ponder, Force Negation, 2 Wastelands, and come on, players, do us a favor. There we go. 3 Waste. Wow. Well,
Ponder bites the dust.
There's an Narcomoeba, so that's not a auto loss, but certainly it can matter losing a Narcomoeba.
So you mentioned that, and you mentioned the opportunity for Ragavan to flip an important card. If he flips Thassa's Oracle, is the game just over?
I think Thassa's Oracle and Dread Return both might be instant wins. Now, I'm not sure if there are. I'm sure there are not backups. So yeah, I think those might be unrecoverable.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Narcomoeba joins the fray for the opposition. Probably one of the few castable spells that could have come off the top there, besides something like a discard spell.
Okay, so we see a Summoner's Pact here. So if this resolves, this match is going to last one more turn. Either way.
So interestingly enough, Rodney knows about the Force of Negation, but there is one mystery card that, of course, could be a blue card.
Well, we'll probably find out momentarily because there's Dark Ritual.
Yeah, and just based on Ari's positioning right now, I'd have to. Oh no, he's thinking about something. Oh, there we go. There we go.
It is, and
he
that's
had
it. Yeah, the
I'll give him
pack.
some credit, because if I was Rodney, I would have done the same thing just based on how he was acting. I would have maybe assumed that he did not have the blue card, but he did.
Yeah. So the counter on the Dark Ritual, and then Rodney Bedell will die on his upkeep Summoner's Pact trigger. So that match is even up. And we'll move back to Modern, where the players are probably pretty much getting ready to go. And yeah, that is, I mean, an all-in deck where if you falter, if your opponent gets in your way, yeah, you just die.
Yeah, I don't know what the exact percentage is on blue cards in the deck, but I think if you're Rodney, you just have to go for it. And when you play decks like this, you can't be discouraged when you lose that game. I mean, that's going to happen when you're playing an all-in deck.
And that takes heart to do that, because it is easy to be fearful. You know, if you end up with the same scenario next game, you have to just do the same thing and hope things work out in your favor, because he has to do that knowing there's a decent chance he is going to lose. Although he did have a game in hand, so that maybe is somewhat comforting. Now we look at Oliver Bostian with a Swift Spear and some burn spells versus Antonio Zanutto Downey game. What do we find here? Generally, green and white decks can sideboard in some life gain against burn if they, or at least they're in the format, they're capable of having some pretty good sideboards. I don't know that we'd actually see it though in the sideboards. We do see an Ingenious Smith and some double face cards in hand, and led by Zabaz Glimmerwisp, or Zabaz, or some 5 or 6 letter Z word name.
Yeah, we still see Worker in this deck, but this is an Arcbound Worker that has some extra text.
All right. Whoa. Goblin Guy reveals Urza's Saga. Thank you very much. Antonio Zanutto picks that up, and that is going to work out well. Saga in this deck able to tutor up Ozolith, which is very strong, Arcbound Worker, which is just kind of a cog in the works, but also Baseless Caller, which we saw last game, can equip to gain some life. And the Saga comes right into play. Also a Welding Jar, and Antonio would be well advised to drop as many things as he can this turn before potential eye down. I'm sure the Welding Jar will come down after the Ingenious Smith in order to preserve getting the counter. And seemed to be some interest there in Oliver in figuring exactly what Zabaz Glimmerwisp did. Hammerback Walker found by the Ingenious Smith, and then the Welding Jar to pump. This is a pretty fluid start.
Yeah,
for Antonio.
This is a very solid start for the Hardened Scales player, Antonio. I mean, maybe we can get Zabaz on the screen. I mentioned Arcbound Worker. Arcbound 1 mana, modular 1. Well, this has a lot more going on. And interestingly enough, at least the white mana activation can give it flying. We'll see if that has any impact.
There's Zabaz, the Glimmer Wasp. I think it's a Glimmer Wisp. 1 mana, modular 1/0/0.
And it's legendary, which in a lot of cases is going to be a downside, but sometimes you might just want to play the second copy and move some counters around, so it can have some upside as well.
Well, if you've got red mana, you don't even have to do that. You can just kill itself. This is a creature able to suicide, and as well as kill any of your other permanents. You can also gain flying, like you were saying. And if you modular, you get a bonus. So let's see. Goblin Guide facing down the 2/2 Ingenious Smith. If given the option, I am confident the Ingenious Smith will trade with the Goblin Guide.
Absolutely.
And
yeah, this might be a game where Oliver, just based on the construction of his hand, might need to just ignore the creatures and start throwing that burn at Antonio's face and just hope that's enough. And yeah, we're going to start with the Lava Spike.
Yeah, no option there. That's a facer to a Planeswalker. And then we have Skewer the Critics on the Ingenious Smith. So giving up...
so I don't mind this as much, because it definitely you're still going to get your damage in, but Antonio does get the value of the land off the top.
Yeah, giving up 1 damage in the short term in order to potentially allow the Goblin Guide to attack in the future, which is interesting because it may not be able to get in nature, but also it does just reduce the permanence on Antonio's side, and that Ingenious Smith was likely to grow over time. Darksteel Citadel was the free draw of Goblin Guide, and it does join the board. Now Urza Saga is able to make tokens, but has a lot of cards in hand, so he's definitely in a scenario where, yeah, maybe you obviously make the token because you're not giving up, because it's free, but maybe you're better served to just deploy cards from your hand because time is of the essence when you're playing against burn.
Okay, so looking at our board here, Rodney took it down in the Legacy match, winning game 3, excuse me, to win that match, and then Henry won the limited portion. So you mentioned he hadn't dropped the game. He just swept this top 8 in. So it's all going to come down to this match, and if Oliver wins, Oliver's team will be the winners.
Yeah, and if Antonio wins, then we will have one game of Modern to decide the tournament. I'm not sure if the limited deck lists have been posted yet or not, but if they haven't already, you will eventually be able to check them out on NGG Melee. And maybe you want to look, if you're interested in limited, maybe you want to look at Henry Mildenstein's deck because it doesn't look impressive on paper. But yeah, he 6-0'd the top 8, as Shane was saying. So we have an Urza Saga token possible here, which would come in as a 4/4, which is significantly sized enough that none of Oliver's spells are going to be able to trade with that 1-for-1, unless there's actually a Smash the Smithereens or some other artifact card from the sideboard.
Yeah, I know we had looked over the limited deck list, and Henry was playing 3 Kessig Flame Breathers, a card that neither you or I have been super impressed with, but clearly he put them to good work there.
Yeah, not been super impressed with it, maybe putting it lightly. I haven't even registered it in a deck yet. It just immediately goes to the sideboard, never to be seen again. But maybe I was wrong.
Henry's deck had some good removal to back it up, but yeah, it's going to come down to Modern here.
Suspend Rift Bolt for the turn and a pass. Goblin Guide sees no reason to attack into the construct token and give another potential free land to Antonio. And I'm sure Antonio's fine with this. If the burn deck's on the defensive, that is a good spot for Antonio to be in.
Yeah, so Antonio at 13, there's a Lightning Bolt at the ready that I imagine will be cast end of turn. And then, of course, the Rift Bolt coming off Suspend. So at a virtual 7 here.
Yeah.
And if you're Antonio, you just want to apply as much pressure as possible so Oliver cannot deploy all the spells in his hand.
Yeah, this is what I expect to see.
Because he is limited with just that 2 mana.
Basilisk Collar equipping here onto the construct token with 1 mana available on Oliver's side. It's Path to Exile or Bust. There's just no Skullcrack mana to prevent a life gain this turn.
Yeah, and he has that Lightning Bolt, but this construct is out of range.
Yeah, it is. And with 1 mana floating,
might be able to turn the corner here.
Yeah. That's putting it mildly. With 1 mana floating from the Urza Saga before it's sacrificed, one of his additional lands will allow an equip of the Basilisk Collar to attack for, really one swing of this, one swing of an equipped construct, it might be too much for Oliver to overcome.
Yeah, and meanwhile for Antonio, he knows the deck list. He knows Path could be at the ready here. We have the benefit to know it's not. But yeah, I like playing the Esper Sentinel first. That way, if Path is... You kind of know if Path is going to be cast, it's going to likely be in response to the Esper Sentinel. Right. And now you kind of know the coast is clear. Yeah,
and Nature's Claim in hand for Antonio, so more potential life gain there as he can kill one of his own permanents if he needs to. But in the meantime, an attack here for, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I believe.
Yeah, and Goblin if you're ever chump blocking with Goblin Guide, okay, now this is a clever play. You're going to Lightning Bolt after blocking to just prevent the life gain. But 2 for 1ing yourself, not where you want to be for Oliver.
2 for 1ing yourself, not good. This wasn't that. This was a 2 for 0.
You're right.
Kill anything. This was a 2 for 0, which, if you're Oliver and into this spot, maybe you decide, well, this is my best chance is to do this, but this is not good.
Maybe you can draw running Skull Cracks from here on out to get it done, but I'm not even sure that would be good enough because you're taking too much damage.
Your mention of the Zubaz legendary effect, I thought was kind of ridiculous, but we just saw it. Second Zabaz came in, died to the Legend rule, and then modulared onto the Esper Sentinel. And with the bonus modular from the existing one, 2 counters on the Esper. And yeah, double Skull Crack, I don't think it's going to do it because I don't think Oliver could even survive the damage.
Yeah, he was just going to take too much damage. How
Yeah.
dare you call my Zabaz call out ridiculous? I was on top of it all the way.
Yeah, clearly. All right, so Antonio Zanutto is going to send us to a match 3, game 3 here in the finals. This is exciting stuff, and I'm sure the players are probably on edge because there's a little bit on the line here. I mean, the winning team all gets auto invites into the Nerd Rage Championship in January, and that's a 16-player kind of exclusive event. And we'll go ahead and put the payout up now so you can see what else they're playing for. We had the wrong slide up, unfortunately, for the first half of the day yesterday. So if you just if you're just watching the morning, you saw the wrong payout yesterday. This is what the players are actually playing for this event. You can see the cash for the team as well as the championship series points on the side. And again, the first place team, you can see the trophies there. Their points will do them no good because they're just going to earn auto invites anyway. While the players are shuffling, we're also having a modern 5K going on today, which I believe they're in round 3 right now. We'll get that going. Maybe we'll pick it up around 4 or 5, depending on how long this match takes. Well, okay, probably not round 5. I doubt this game is going to last over an hour. If it did, that would be something. But yeah, big stakes here at Nerd Rage Gaming. Also, next month, our December 11th and 12th, we're going to have our final event of the year. It'll be Legacy on Saturday, Modern on Sunday, the reverse of the October event. It'll be in Milwaukee. So check us out if you're there, or if you're somewhere in the online world. We'll be right here on twitch.tv/NRG series. Give us a follow if you want to be notified of future streams. And yeah, Shane, what do you think? I mean, Burn versus Ozolith Hardened. We haven't even seen the Hardened scales yet. It hasn't even entered play. And yeah, we're going to game 3 for Antonio on the draw. And Burn did win game 1 going first, I believe. So there is that.
Yeah, this is exciting stuff, and the Burn deck, by my estimation, got to board in some quality cards for this matchup. So being on the play definitely has its advantage. One thing I want to know about you, and I know we have played in some team events together, but it's all coming down to this game. If you're a teammate in this situation, are you over the shoulder analyzing every play, or are you hiding in the corner? You can't watch. What's going through your mind as a teammate? Because this is a very unique situation where winning or losing, or winning or getting second place, I should say, is not determined by anything you have control over.
So you know me, and it's not fair that you're asking this question. So what you know exactly do is I would be sitting right next to you if you're whoever's playing, and then I would overreact to potential small minor missteps and want to prevent my teammate from making them. So I will, lurch into like, no, don't do this. And they're like, I wasn't going to. Like, oh. And then 5 minutes later, I'll be like, yes, do that. And they'll be like, yeah, I was about to do that. And I'll get excited and I'll jump the gun and really make a nuisance of myself, basically. I'm sure my teammates would prefer I was probably on their side of the room not watching, but that's me. Not everyone is like me. So
that's true. You are a unique individual, that's for sure. We all are.
All right, so Oliver on a mulligan here, and we see the Loris at the top of the screen has not come into play yet in this match. Unlikely to make too much of an impact, I think, as it's just hard to take a turn off and spend 3 mana to draw a card even as good as Loris. I wonder if there's even, it would be more interesting if there were some sort, like if there was, I don't know, let's say something like Seal of Cleansing that you could recur that actually could destroy relevant cards instead of just recurring your creatures, which, I mean, all of his creatures are, great and all against a control opponent or a combo opponent, but when your opponent's putting up resistance, Goblin Guide, Monastery, Swiftspear aren't getting through too many things from the modular side of the board.
Yeah, Hardened Scales definitely can put some creatures in front to block. Ragavan not at its best in this matchup.
That looks like a 7-bolt hand.
Burn, but no lands, it looked like, for Oliver. So that one quickly goes away.
This is a shame. Kind of a sinking feeling in your stomach if you're Oliver Bostian, one of his teammates, or one of their fans, as 5 cards versus 7 is never a desirable place to be. But Antonio's deck certainly could self-destruct. It's possible he could be all in the Ozolith or one artifact creature and then have it blown up by a Shattering Spree or a Smash to Smithereens. So it's certainly not over. We don't want to write it off, but the scales have to be tipping in favor of Antonio and his teammates at this point. SpongeBob sleeves versus just generic green. I mean, we probably should have just known beforehand that this team was going to win.
I don't know if I would come to that conclusion based on sleeve selection.
Well, we have to gauge the outcome on something, and that is what is
I know
available to us right now.
I was at Universal Studios Hollywood with a former partner of mine once, and there were SpongeBob characters, and I of course know who SpongeBob is, but another character hugged me, and afterwards I had to ask, what the character's name was. I believe the name is Patrick. So if you're a SpongeBob fan, you might be jealous of my interaction, but I was a little confused at the time.
Well, I'm with you on that one. I also could identify SpongeBob and none of his compatriots. Okay, here we go. Game 3 of match 3 of the finals in the works. Monster Swift Spear gets in for 1. What does Antonio have? We have Hardened Scales. Do we have or
Llanowar Reborn into Welding Jar.
Reborn,
so
yeah.
No blockers in front of this Swift Spear.
All right. No, and okay, a lot of spikes, so no idle on this game. Although potentially, if Oliver had an idle, maybe he would wait his turn to just unload his one-mana burn spells first. There's a Rift Bolt.
Okay, so I mean, if you're on 5, this is about as good a start as you can hope for. I believe there's a Smash Smithereens hanging back in the hand.
Okay, that's certainly relevant. Tony getting him some advice from his teammates on what they think is the right play for this turn. Got some advice from both sides there. That's good. Input from everybody. Urza Saga comes into play, and it's a Hangerback Walker with 1 counter grafted onto it, meaning 2 overall.
Yeah, that graph counter is super relevant here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Rift Bolt goes to the Dome as Oliver has no interest in there being 2 blockers on the board right now. Yeah, you were right about Smash Smithereens and Boros Charm. Antonio at 11. That is 7 points of burn in hand. Is this Whisper going to get through? I would assume no, but we'll see.
No, I think we have to block here. And it looks like we're going to block and use the Welding Jar. Interesting.
Okay. So that will preserve the Hangerback Walker. Oliver would have the opportunity to blow it up in response with his Smash Smithereens. Instead, the Rift Bolt happened, so the Switcher already is a 2-3.
Yeah. So Switcher was a 2-3. We're going to likely see a Boros Charm end of turn here, putting Antonio to 7.
I don't think we have another land for Antonio, so perhaps we're not going to be able to make constructs this turn.
Yeah, and that Urza Saga is not long for this world.
Right. So here's an Arcbound Ravager coming into play, so now the Hangerback Walker can die at Antonio's will and be able to create some extra blockers. Does Hangerback Walker attack here? That is the question remaining for the turn.
I can't imagine it does. I think we just want to put up all our defenses.
I agree, and so does Antonio. Boros Charm to the Dome. Antonio down to 7.
If you're Oliver here, I think you just want to draw more burn spells. Path isn't necessarily a bad draw, but
yeah, I believe we could see Urza Saga tutor up Baseless Color again, and there would be 2 mana exactly to equip it. If that was pathed, I mean, then Antonio would only have 1 land remaining, but the land fetched off the path would then give him 2 to re-equip the next turn, if that was the way things chose to play out. We shall see. Kind of useless to speculate when we're going to find out momentarily what's actually going to happen.
This is interesting. We're going to see this Smash to Smithereens cast end of turn. Targeting what remains to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
And then if somehow it turns out that, say for example, you Smash to Smithereens, well, Smash to Smithereens not at its best when an Arcbound Ravager is in play.
Right. So because the Arcbound Ravager can sacrifice
negating the 3 damage is super significant here.
Yes, it is. Because they top deck Boros Charm without the Ravager in play. a Smash to Smithereens on the baseless caller will put Antonio to 4, allowing a Boros Charm off the top to win the game and the tournament. But we are not.
I mean, you kind of know Antonio lands, but maybe we would have liked to seen Path cast on Arcbound Ravager and then just attack with the Swift Spear last turn. But yeah, you're priced into casting this Smash to Smithereens based on not casting the Path on your main phase.
Yeah. Okay, so there goes the Smash. It is the target is the baseless color is eaten by the Ravager, and now we have a 2/3 Swift Spear. Are we blocking Handbrake Walker? The possibility still exists that Oliver could survive enough turns to be able to draw more burn spells and win the game, as even though that life gain was negated, there's unlikely to be future life gain.
Yeah, I mean, not having to worry about the caller the rest of the game is significant, but yeah, losing the damage on the Smash of Smithereens is super relevant here.
Yeah. But that's done and gone. Swift Spear blocking and Ravager growing. So Ravager's gonna eat the Hangback Walker. Antonio will net 2 tokens. And
so now
Oliver
we have the
has
path for the Ravager, and there's only one land for Antonio.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, it's weird. It's been one turn, but I feel like the momentum has swung in this one turn based on the actions that are happening multiple times.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so here we go. 2 tokens. First is a Swift Spear and a Ravager. Now, if the Ravager wanted to enable an attack or something, then the Swift Spear's route would be open. We drew
another Smash to Smithereens. So we got to get this Ravager off the board here.
Right. Okay, so I guess there's no reason for Oliver to, there's no possible attack this turn. So, because if the Ravager's on the board, he can't attack, and if you pass the Ravager, he's not going to be able to attack through the token and he gets pumped. So I think Oliver's going to end up passing, and then Antonio is just going to have to see if he can muster up some relevant cards with his single green source. Pace of play is rather slow here, but that is understandable as the players are being consulted by their teammates, and there's a fair amount on the line. An untapped land is excellent for Antonio.
Yeah. There was an opportunity for Oliver to cast the Smash the Smithereens prior to the Ravager being in play. That may have made a difference, but he's really between a rock and a hard place here, based on the 2 cards he has in his hand and what he's facing down. Now, meanwhile, for Antonio, he draws a second land, which I'm sure is significant. Is now he has a number of options that he's weighing within his own hand.
Yeah, with an Arcbound Worker and the Ozolith in hand, there's a potential for an awful lot of damage to come through. So that'd be one option for Antonio to go for. That is also that is probably riskier.
You know, I mentioned I liked the matchup for the burn player here based on bringing in cards like Smash of Smithereens and Path to Exile, but I mean, we see both sideboard cards in hand, and I'm not sure it's going to be good enough.
Right. Okay. Double Worker is the choice. Maybe not.
Let's go one at a time. There could be a response.
Sure. All right. So Path to Exile on the Ravager. That is not going to resolve, as the Ravager is going to sacrifice itself and load up one of the flying tokens. At least we can assume that'll happen. Maybe we're choosing which artwork we prefer, and that will be the token that gets the counters. All right, there we go. Ravager hits the graveyard, not the exile zone. Arcbound Worker resolves. Esper Sentinel is the other card played for the turn. Okay. You feel good about attacking with both creatures here, or just one? Or none?
I think I'm okay attacking with both. We're not at a ton of risk here.
Yeah. So we say as we're at 7 life against the burn deck, but yeah, I agree. 4 damage. I think we want to put it in. If we were, yeah, okay. So Oliver's untap. Esper Sentinel, a few more cards this game after already having picked up one. Antonio has enough things to do. Oliver might not worry about it too much. And really, it's the kind of thing where, yeah, it's you feel bad about giving your opponents cards, but you just have to ignore it because you need to play your spells.
Yeah, and Oliver's still in this game. I mean, he has the Smash of Smithereens.
Yeah.
And then a Boros Charm off the top could do it.
Yeah. It's conceivable that Oliver actually wants to attack now, as a Swiftspear may just get chump blocked by the worker, and that's really not any worse than having. I mean, if there's something more to be coming down to Ravager and Ozolith, whatever it is, you'd rather have the worker die now than later.
Yeah, it's interesting. We drew a second Swiftspear for the turn, and yeah, he's considering deploying that. But if you attack with both,
I think you can't do that. I think you have to play the smash because you have to give yourself a chance to draw Boros Charm to win the game. So I don't think we can do anything besides, and like, can guarantee, unless like the Swiftspear got through, but even then, I think we have to play the guaranteed damage source this turn.
I'm leaning towards agreeing with you. I think you're pretty priced into casting Smash to Smithereens. I do like this attack, and this is the block I anticipated. Now, where do you move the counter?
Well, putting it on Esmeralda is nice because it makes it more likely you're going to get cards to draw because it's hard to pay the tax. But yeah, Antonio might assume that Oliver's just not going to pay the tax anyway. Here we go. The draw is a Hangmark Walker. There's actually a couple of those in hand. There's an Ozolith. There's a Ballista. Here come... Okay. Teammates pointing out, maybe you overlooked this. Let's reconsider.
Thinking.
Yeah, we either attacking with everything or just the one token, probably.
And that was a bit of a fake out because if I'm Oliver, I'm slamming the Smash Smithereens on this bigger Thopter.
Right.
But he's gonna wait till they're committed to combat, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll see that regardless of what happened. Yep. Okay, here comes the two. I'm still not sure.
Oliver's not giving anything up. He's not falling for the pump fake.
Good for him. That would be tricky because you know that thing's in the holster ready to come out. The Smash Smithereens as soon as the timing is right. It's coming out this turn, and boy, a scry effect right now would be great. Just like, oh, what's the top card of my deck? Is it a Boros Charm? I hope it's a Boros Charm. But
we mentioned Flame Rift is legal, but not in the deck list of this Boros Burn player, Oliver.
That was Oliver's thoughts, by the way, not my own. I'm not biased on who wins the match, unless one of the players defeated me in the finals of a Grand Prix like yesterday. So, okay,
it turns out everything. Didn't expect that.
Well, maybe we're confident our whatever cards we're going to deploy are going to be enough as blockers. This is interesting. If only there's the Oliver could consider taking all the damage, and if he draws a land, he could play the second Swiftspear, smash whatever the new blocker is, and then get through for exactly lethal damage.
That is interesting. If it's a Hangerback Walker, that plane goes out the window, though.
Right, I agree. And it would be a Hangerback Walker, but Oliver doesn't know that. This is kind of a cool scenario here for Oliver to think through. He's already played one Boros Charm, so not overly likely that there's another one on top of the deck, but if it's there, you certainly don't want to have not smashed your opponent's creature.
It seems risky to me only because if you smash the Smithereens, the 4/4 Thopter here, you're not at risk of losing. It's not like he has to draw Boros Charm to win the game, because I think that the game is going to last at least one additional turn as long as you kill that Thopter. But if you take, what would it be, 7 damage here, then it seems less likely that you're guaranteed an additional turn.
Yeah, I feel like you have to play it because you're right. The chance of having 2 additional draw steps to collectively do 4 damage certainly exists.
Plus you have the Swiftspear. Yeah. And if Antonio only deploys 1 blocker, that Swiftspear is guaranteed to get in damage also.
Mm-hmm.
So in that scenario, let's say 1 blocker comes out right now, and we've been talking about Boros Charm, but any lightning bolt effect will get it done as well. And yeah,
right.
so there's a number of draws here.
It's a lightning
And
bolt.
that's a lightning bolt. Could that be the winner? I think it is.
Yes.
We're done here.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Congratulations.
Wow. On 5 cards, and Oliver Bostian is out of the chair to celebrate with his teammates. On 5 cards on the play. Burn gets it done. Burn won our modern team event in the modern seat alongside a blue-red, not all common, but basically a common draft deck. And I believe Izzet in the legacy seat. So congratulations to those players. That was wild. That was exciting. And that was perhaps not the way we would have laid the odds on the outcome being all of, 45 seconds earlier.
Yeah, that was such an interesting game. You could see both players going through the motions and thinking through every single play. And yeah, the attack all there, not leaving any blockers, allowed the monetary Swift Spear, the second monetary Swift Spear that I'm sure he was disappointed to draw the turn prior, ended up mattering, and the lightning bolt off the top.
Yeah, it did. That was super cool. So let's see. I think we're gonna be able to set up to. Maybe we can talk to Oliver Bostian over here. Can we get him over here? We have this set up for the first time ever today. So if we can make use of that, that'd be awesome. But yeah, that was super cool. In the meantime, let's go ahead and bring up the if we have the top 8 or the top 4 bracket to kind of go through all of our players who finished today. So here are all the teams and all the players who made the top 8 of the event. And on the bottom left, we have our winners: Paolercio, Zanutto, and no, wait, is that the? I lost track of where we're at. My apologies. Yeah, so you can see where. Okay.
Yeah, so
here we go. Mildenstein. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got confused there for a second. Mildenstein, Collins, and Bostian with in the wrong order there. Obviously, the Boros Burn deck in the modern seat. But Mildenstein, Collins, and Bostian, awesome job. Yeah, I don't even know what to say. I'm kind of processing the fact that the burn deck actually won up 5 cards.
Yeah, good for him. There was a lot of crucial decision points in that game with the Path to Exile and the Smash to Smithereens and the Arcbound Ravager making a huge impact. But ultimately, I figured he needed to draw some burn off the top. We were looking for a Boros Charm, and then I realized it actually didn't matter. And I don't know. I guess I called that lightning bolt.
Yeah.
It was coming.
Yeah, no, that was. I mean, Boros Charm obviously would have worked, but yeah, any let's see, lightning bolt would have worked. I guess a number of spells, lava spike, a variety of different one-mana burn spells. So there was more outs there than initially appeared, so I guess we can then say that maybe attacking with all the creatures there was costly.
Yeah,
but
I think he probably felt safe having a single blocker that was Hangerback Walker.
Yeah.
Because obviously you get Hangerback Walker out of the way. In most scenarios, it's going to create an additional blocker unless it was a Path to Exile effect. But he felt safe with that one blocker, and it turned out he needed 2.
Yeah, and the winning team was just announced to the room, and there was a round of applause from the players being in the modern event. And it looks like we are going to try and set this up. So, no, go ahead. All right. Well, why don't we? Yeah, we'll just. Okay. Sure. There's the price pool, and then we. I got it. Okay. You're Oliver.
Oliver. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. We're going to go ahead and bring Oliver in here.
Oh, you're fine.
Sure.
Yeah. No, you're good.
All right. Let's go ahead and switch that over if we have that. All right. So I'm here with Oliver. That's pretty sick, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get your thoughts on some of the rest of the event, but let's go through that last game.
Yeah.
Oh, so okay. You're mulling to 5. Let's start with that. You're mulling to 5. I mean, we talked about it. It's like, okay, you're not giving up, but like you're like, oh crap.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. That was the only time I've mulled to 5 all tournament.
Really?
Yeah, I have to say. I was a bit nervous. I was a lot happier when I saw that I had a Smash to Smithereens in my opener.
Yeah.
And like with the new mulligan rules, I think that really helps, especially burn, because a lot of times if you mull to 5, like maybe you'll see those first 4 lands, and then you've got a spell. But that time, since I was able to just put 2 lands away, it made me feel a lot better about it. And at the end of the day, it was like it was about casting my spells in time rather than having enough cards. And I mean, that's how it is a lot of the time for burn. So definitely better to go to 5 on burn than anything else.
Right, and then you're staring down like an array of creatures. The Hangerback makes some tokens.
Yeah.
The Arcman Ravager, which is kind of frustrating with the Smash the Smithereens.
Oh, God.
And then the last turn. So it looked like you considered playing the second Swift Spear the turn before, maybe, or you're just holding back. And then there's Esper Sentinel. There's all this kind of considerations and kind of.
Yeah.
It's basically, it looked like there's all this bad news, but maybe I can find a way to just make it work, and it happened.
Yeah, I thought, I mean, I guess the consideration there, wow, it was just, yeah, I wasn't sure what to do. Obviously, my teammates were giving me advice. They're fantastic. But I think definitely I wanted to leave Smash the Smithereens up because that just gives me so much more flexibility in terms of my plan. If I play the Swift Spear, sure, that like limits his attacks. But at the same time, like, then I don't have the flexibility to react to whatever he's doing. As we saw there, he had the Hangerback Walker, which would have caused issues for me had I not smashed. So, yeah, just
a lot of stuff happened there. And then, and you had your teammates out there with you, and so you're winning. I mean, this team event, good for you guys. Congratulations, you got your trophy here. This is awesome. Here, let's hold that up so we can see that on the. See that a little better there. Yeah, that's super sick. Congratulations, you guys. Slots in the championship.
Yeah,
that's exciting for you guys.
So we pretty much came on a whim. I mean, we haven't been playing that much because pandemic and we used to play so many PPTQs together, local tournaments. But I mean, my teammates during the Swiss kind of carried me.
Okay.
I lost 2 matches and I had 2 that did not finish. But Henry did not lose a match all tournament. He's an incredible limited player. And obviously, like Ari, I think dropped 1 during the Swiss, and just incredible. I'm so glad that we.
Oh, well, no, that's awesome. Yeah, you deserve to feel good about that. Shane, do you have a question?
I want to ask. So on that last turn, there was a lot going back and forth. We kind of joked that the momentum was swinging multiple times just in the single turn. But we were kind of thinking the plan would be smash the Smithereens, hope to draw Boros Charm to finish it off. But at what point did you realize that a 1-mana burn spell would also get it done? Because things definitely changed based on the attack that was made.
I think I knew that I was good on a 1-mana burn spell through that entire turn. And that's why my teammates were telling me different things. But we ended up deciding to play the Smash the Smithereens just because I knew that then it was obviously more mana efficient, and also that then also a 1-mana burn spell gets there. And so, I think pretty much that sums it up.
One thing that we discussed was you might actually save the Smash the Smithereens for potentially the blocker that was going to come down, but Hangerback Walker was going to trip up that plan if you decided to go that route.
Yes. Yeah, that was,
it certainly worked out. Great job.
Yep.
Yeah, well done, man. All right, congratulations. I don't know if you guys are jumping into Modern or not.
We are.
All right.
All 3 of us.
Okay, cool. Well, and good luck there. I assume you're running back the same deck.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, that was really cool. Happy to have you here join us here. We are going to step away for a few minutes until the Modern round ends, but just so you know, the stream is going to drop while we switch the protocol over to our individual slide pool as opposed to the team event. So the stream will drop and then should reload within 30 seconds or a minute. So you can stay in the channel. Nothing's going to change. It's the same. It's just going to reset itself. Thank you for being with us here with our team event. We'll be back for, I think, round 4 of the Modern 5K. We'll get things situated, and we'll let you know exactly how things are leading into that event. But we'll be gone for 5 minutes maybe. Thanks for being with us. We'll be right back. Don't go.